Welcome.
Welcome to Switching Reels.
I was going to say that. You ready?
Sure am.
You steady?
No?
You got some spaghetti?
I very much do not have spaghetti.
That's going into the podcast,
There's
isn't
a
it?
there's a line in Undertale that is the idea that the mouse will someday be able to microwave the spaghetti. Fills you with determination. It's one of your save points.
Because the spaghetti is frozen, so the mouse can't eat it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's been a while since I played Undertale.
It's
And
such a...
I did not play or watch the Genocide run.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I only have music from the Genocide run.
Oh, I didn't even know that the music changed, but
Because it does.
that makes sense.
You get Megalovania.
I do know that Sans turns into a villain, which makes sense.
Hardest villain in the game.
Yeah. Which part of me wanted to do the Genocide run just so that I could fight the most difficult villain in the game.
Mm-hmm. There's a meta comment on that from Sans.
Because like I've heard about all the stuff, like, you know, you're the two kinds of people. One, you're just doing it because you feel like you have to, and like for me, that's not it. I want the challenge. I want the challenge of fighting the most difficult boss in the game.
Absolutely.
I'm a FromSoft person.
You're a FromSoft person. Exactly.
I enjoy fighting bosses that are way too hard for me.
Exactly.
Over and over again, so that when I beat them, I can feel like I have shattered some sort of record.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have also heard Sans talks about the people that don't have the guts to ruin their save file.
Yep.
And will just watch other people do it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm not doing that either.
I'm not doing that one either. I'm going in.
I am completely free from the Genocide run. I've only done the I guess what would be considered the standard run, where it's like you don't really know what you're doing, and so you just kind of play it as a normal RPG, and then you realize that the combat isn't that much fun, so you avoid doing combat.
Exactly.
And I've also done the Pacifist run.
The Pacifist run is beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
But the Genocide run I have not touched with a 10-foot pole.
Good man. No Toby Fox getting anything out of you.
Nope. All this to say, what do we watch today, Trent?
This is not an Undertale podcast. You may be confused. Today we watched Whiplash, which we just did to you. So you're welcome, dear listener.
So I talked to my mom earlier today, and typically...
Has she seen this?
Yeah, she has.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I talk to my mom most of the time when I'm on my way here. If I can get in contact with her. She always asks what we're watching.
Nice.
So I told her today that we're watching Whiplash, and she said, "Oh, that was a really good movie." And I said, "Mom, when I showed this movie to you, you said that this movie was just a bunch of people yelling and swearing." And she's like, "Yeah, it's that too. But also, it's a good movie. I liked it."
I want to spend more time around your mom so I have a better idea of like where this comes from.
Yeah. You'll have to come to Washington, or she'll have to come out here at some point. But yeah.
Completely agree. Yeah. Ooh, that is fantastic. I love that.
So some context with that. My mom will put up with swearing in movies and in general, but she does not like it.
Yeah, there's a lot of swearing.
There is.
Mostly from one character.
Mostly from one character, yeah. I think the intensity of Fletcher makes it so that you don't necessarily notice how much everybody else swears in the movie.
That's almost guaranteed.
Because like there is a lot of
by default.
Right. When all right, so we're going to have an explicit warning. So here's your warning here. But when someone says, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, exactly. That's
a much more tame way of addressing someone in this movie,
comparatively to a Fletcher's
than any
vitriol.
of the things that Terrence Fletcher says.
Oh my goodness.
He could have a line where he's not swearing, and you could have sworn, based on his tone and the delivery that J.K. Simmons gives,
that he
just tore this person's throat out with his words.
Exactly.
Which he did, but also he didn't always use swear words for it.
Yeah, and that's part of the... we'll get past the spoiler wall here soon and talk about the narrative beauty as well as just the heartache that this movie causes. Like, if you're... Like, trigger warning on this one for watching the movie. If you're not good with verbal abuse don't watch this movie. Schindler's List will be better for you than this movie. If verbal abuse is at all a trigger, do not watch it.
Honestly, I can't think of a movie, and I've seen a lot of movies. I can't think of a movie that has worse verbal abuse.
My gosh. You feel in danger watching the movie.
Like, I can think of 2 scenes that are on par with this movie in 2 separate movies.
Yeah, exactly. And those are scenes. And you get multiple scenes of this man doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness gracious. All right.
Want to know something wild?
Yes.
I have a friend that I worked with for a while. And I don't know if this is true, but this is a rumor, I think, or maybe it's been years since I heard it. But this person went to a very prestigious music school, and what she told me is that the character in this movie is based off of someone that actually was a teacher at this music school. So theoretically, I am 2 degrees of separation away from the actual person that Terrence Fletcher is based on.
Oh my goodness gracious. That's incredible. And the number of, like, second degree, you don't know anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Like, a second degree person is completely unworthy of you. And you
right, yeah.
It's insane.
It is.
Like, social distance is such a strange measurement.
Yeah. So...
How do you enjoy this movie?
Oh my gosh, this is a 10 on both levels for me. I can understand why someone would not necessarily feel the same way. But this movie is a 10, in my opinion. I have some very, very minor gripes, but so many of the things that are, like, done super well emotionally are enough for me to be like, you know what, those minor gripes don't actually lower the score any.
Yeah.
There are some relative pacing issues. I think this movie has too little substance for even the short runtime that it has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was surprised by how long, but how short it was.
Yeah. But, I mean, despite all of that, like, when I'm watching the movie, I'm just, like, thoroughly enjoying myself the entire time.
Yes.
And I cannot think of something that would make the movie even a better movie. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Even with my my critique of it being too long for its short runtime, I feel like if you turned this into a 40-minute movie, it could work, but it would suffer because of it.
It would have the impact.
So, yeah, this is a 10 across the board for me.
Beautiful. I have to...
Your enjoyment's going to be lower than mine for sure.
I have to give it a 10 technically, because I was engrossed the entire time. This movie just sucks you in while it's punching you. And so the punches I didn't necessarily enjoy, you know? Like, I'm actually not an exceptionally huge fan of emotional abuse as, like, a tool to go and increase intensity, so I'm probably only going to give it like an 8, maybe 8.5.
That's still pretty high.
Yeah, like there was like very much a catharsis to this movie.
Yeah.
And how they were doing with balancing in the technical aspects, they softened some of the intensity.
Yeah.
Which was really good, which we'll talk about here in a second.
Yeah.
But,
I will say on rewatch, because this is probably my 5th-ish rewatch. Like when I first watched it, I watched it by myself. Then my mom was the only one available, so I showed my mom, and then I showed my dad.
Nice.
Separately.
Oh, that's so funny.
So that was at least 3 times in the first 2 weeks or so that I had the movie.
Nice.
I've seen it a handful of other times, so yeah, I'm gonna say this is like at least 5 or 6 for a rewatch for me. The more you rewatch it, the less impact the emotional abuse has.
Of course.
And the more humor in the writing you can see.
That makes a lot of sense as well, actually.
And so like when I watched it this time, I'm like, this is just a comedy the entire way through. Fletcher's dialogue is hilarious. It's so mean, but it's funny.
I did, like, my brain registered this was comedic while I was just experiencing trauma. So I can completely see how that would.
And this is also several years removed from my last rewatch.
Exactly. Oh my goodness.
So, if you've seen this movie a few times, but it's been a while, go back and watch it. So, other thing, I gave Trenton some context after we watched the movie.
Yes, please. Listen to this
but
thing.
If you haven't seen it, I would recommend somewhat familiarizing yourself with the song Birdland by Buddy Rich. It's referenced several times throughout the movie, and it kind of helps support a lot of the key themes that we are going to talk about on the other side of Spoiler Wall.
Yep.
So
very much, and also it's just a really good song.
Yeah.
So, and I don't like jazz. So.
Yeah. So cool.
Good.
Oh, I mean, this doesn't have to go on the other side of the spoiler wall, but I will say this is one of the movies that I point to when I'm trying to explain like why I love music and specifically really well done rhythm.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch this and not have an appreciation for that. And when you can tie this to sort of a prog rock sensibility, you will have a fuller understanding of what my view of music is.
Oh, beautiful.
Because like I like music of a lot of different sorts. Even a lot of music without any drums whatsoever.
Yes.
My favorite music is stuff that takes drums and rhythm and does weird stuff with it that still sounds good.
Nice.
And so, yeah, I don't know. This is one of those movies that just gets me excited about music. And music movies are the way to like just hack me.
Yeah, way to a Connor's soul.
Yeah. Like I will watch a bad music movie and walk away and be like, that was pretty good.
That was pretty nice.
I think we all enjoyed that.
I think we all liked it. Connor doesn't have nostalgia. Connor has cheat codes.
I have cheat codes, yeah. Well, other people have cheat codes for me.
Exactly. That's fantastic.
So, anyway, I think this is the point where we go over the spoiler wall.
I'm getting out my spoiler ladder.
Uh-oh. It broke last time that we had it, so now you gotta go through the gate.
Second spoiler ladder. Please, like.
Who is still listening to our podcast?
Couple people, but I don't know, man.
We appreciate you, but also, why are you here?
If you could let us know in the comments, I wouldn't be
why
you're here. But yes, please like, comment, subscribe, send us emails. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like.
Yeah.
And yeah.
If it's us, we'll find new hosts.
Connor's finding new hosts.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Gets in. But also, like, you can get new hosts, but not change the old ones. So just keep adding seats to the judicial board. It'd be fantastic.
There's not a lot of room in here.
No, it's going to be great. I have to jerry-rig the heck out of this room.
I have another pair of friends that does a podcast called Whiskey Rut.
Nice.
And I was just imagining the possibility of them switching out for us for a week.
That'd be super funny. Oh, so good.
Unfortunately, it would only grow our subscriber base because theirs is larger.
Nice. Hey. Oh, that's fantastic.
So, anyway, we're on the other side.
We're on the other side. Are we doing summaries first?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
This one's pretty easy as far as I'm concerned. Andrew Neiman is a kid that wants to be a great drummer, like one of the greats, and is willing to sacrifice his life for it, basically every element of it. And he gets into a class where he is verbally abused by a teacher who also wants to see every student who comes through his class turn into one of the greats. And then he plays a show. And that's the movie.
That's the movie. Ooh, beautiful. Love that. All right.
You just got emotional over my summary.
I did, because goodness gracious. Ugh. Disagree with the people in the movie. Good.
That's gonna be the fun part of the conversation.
It's gonna be so good about the conversation. All right, so I'm gonna start my summary, or maybe my whole summary, because you did a perfect summary at this point.
Okay.
I'm gonna essentially just steal the work of Brandon Sanderson. This is a movie.
For the work of Brandon Sanderson. Pirating is not okay in the world of books.
That's very true. Please go and buy his books.
If you're a reader, I guess.
Or you can also do audiobooks.
Yeah. But then you also have to listen to audiobooks.
Yeah.
So,
which is good.
Yeah. No. I'm not saying that as like a punishment. I'm saying that as like if you're not someone that reads or listens to audiobooks, buying his audiobook is no more.
Just keep doing it.
Just do it anyway.
Just do it anyway. There's going to be a book somewhere in his catalog that you'll enjoy. So just keep buying them until you find the one you like. Maybe do this from the library first, actually.
Start with Way of Kings, because it's definitely the best place to start in the Cosmere.
There are some that disagree with you.
There are many who disagree with me, but they're wrong.
This is not actually a Brandon Sanderson podcast, but it's about to be for a few more minutes. So, the entire gist of this story can be summed up in a relatively quick quote from one of the main characters in the Stormlight Archive, which is, 10 spears go to battle and 9 shatter. Did the war forge the one that remained? No. All the war did was identify the spear that would not break. And that's what this movie is.
Yeah.
There's...
Except there's a lot of people that don't break. And they don't reach the heights, at least as far as we see.
And that is also true. But I think for the purposes of this metaphor, they don't break. You can't go, and what I'm trying to say, since we're about to get into themes here, is Terrence Fletcher believes that he is forging and refining students through abuse, and I disagree with that mentality.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying, I think, at this point. However, playing devil's advocate here.
Do it.
by your own admission, he is finding them, right? All that it's doing is identifying the one that won't break. And by identifying that, this movie is really interesting to me because it feels like on one hand it is sort of condemning the way that he's going about it.
Absolutely.
But it's also kind of saying the end result isn't possible without him going about it this way. Right? So like the idea of the 10 spears the 10 spears and 9 of them break. The idea there is that breaking those 9 spears is essential for finding the one that doesn't.
If that's the goal.
Yeah.
Why do you need that spear to begin with?
Okay. So in this case, it would be a war analogy. But in the case of the movie, this is the person that can shine and can become the next Charlie Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like this is why I told you to listen to Birdland before.
It was very good.
Yeah. Charlie Parker wasn't maybe forged by the whole thing that he went through, Joe Jones throwing a symbol at his head, as they keep repeating. But he wouldn't have been found otherwise. And that's the thing that, like, this movie, I feel like it feels like it's condemning the very idea that it's supporting.
Mm-hmm. My one issue with that is, now we go back to the first book of Way of Kings, but another concept that I'm going to pull from is, what is the value of a shard blade?
Mm-hmm.
Priceless.
Right.
What's the value of a human life? Is the life of one person, just one person, worth finding the next music prodigy? Because one person's life was lost.
That's true.
During this campaign. At least one.
That's true.
And infinitely more psychological damage, which is now going to have generational effects. For the hope and the idea of maybe one inspirational person.
I agree with you on a like lifetime sort, like a real life sort of scale. For the purposes of this movie and engaging with what the artist is trying to say, I don't necessarily know whether Damien Chazelle, who wrote this movie and directed it, would agree.
Yeah.
Maybe he would. I don't know. But there is a lot going on here. Also, sometimes a hypocrite is just a man in the process of changing. We got Oathbringer in there too.
Yeah, good job! Woo! I think it's actually the second Oathbringer quote, because I think the Spears one is also Oathbringer.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I thought that one was Words of Radiance.
Yeah. Oh, it might be. No, I think it's right before. There's no spoilers for these books. If we do that too much in this podcast.
The 5th book's coming out this December.
Go read it. Go read all the series first. Yes, it's 160 hours. I don't care.
It's less than that if you read it visually.
Yeah. If you like the agitation that comes from reading words on paper.
Okay, that's a you thing. I have met no one else. I've met multiple dyslexic people who do not get the anger that you get from reading.
Audiobooks are better because they don't make me mad.
Well, some of them are supposed to. Also, there are certain books that I know you can't engage with because they can't do audiobook in the same way.
That's fine.
House of Leaves. Enjoy your audiobook.
Enjoy your audio. I don't know what House of Leaves is, Connor. Is it a graphic novel?
No, it's a... I can't remember what they categorized it as, but I think it was like a postmodern novel or something like that is the way that they put it. We're on a tangent for sure, but
back to a book.
I need to explain this. Agree. The entire thing is presented as like an academic paper, but then you get like footnotes from someone that is like organizing it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the original author who had the incomplete paper. You have the person that's trying to organize everything, and both of them are going insane while they're doing this.
Whoa.
And then you have like these sections that are like, there are some where like you have to turn the book sideways in the order to read the footnote, and like they've got like a section where a guy goes on a long tangent about all of the different like architectural styles, and it's framed in like this tiny square that appears on each page, and you have to read that square, and then it continues on the next page.
Whoa.
And like the rest of the paper is around it. So like there's no way to do that in audiobook form.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I will also say this book got I think it was a 2-star or a 3-star review from me out of 5. And the reason is, I thought it was an excellent piece of art.
And an awful book.
But a mediocre book.
Oh, I love Connor's takes for the most part.
I have also heard, and this isn't something I've done, but I've also heard that it is a lot more fun if you engage with all of the people that are like trying to dissect it and like diving down the rabbit holes of all this stuff. The 2 people that I appreciated most in this book were like these fake quotes that they put in, like because they were supposed to be showing this document. The academic paper is about a documentary that was supposed to have been shot, but nobody knows if it actually was or wasn't. This is a complex book for sure. But anyway, they've got like all of these different people that the movie was supposedly sent to.
Yeah.
And they've got like quotes from their reactions to it.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 2 that I was intimately familiar with their work, and one was Stephen King and one was Stanley Kubrick. And looking at their takes on it were both wonderful.
Nice.
Like they also had some like postmodern philosophers that I had some familiarity with, and I was like, yeah, that sounds right, but they weren't quite as funny.
Yes. That's so funny. That's so good. This feels like, going back to Stormlight, an instance of like the diagram where it's just going to be better if you just like tear it apart and like stick it places.
Yeah.
To be able to read it correctly.
For sure. Read Stormlight, everybody. It's fun.
Stormlight. We are high proponents of them. We should just have a Stormlight podcast.
We don't have time for that. I'm writing a 40,000 word horror novella this year.
Good job with it month. So far. It's looking like good progress.
It's not a lot. It's slower than it needs to be.
So, back to the themes.
Yeah. Okay.
So, one of the things that I did notice was an underpinning of Andrew's almost involuntary support network in his dad.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it like undermines some of the intensity of Fletcher's argument.
Yeah.
Because any time that Andrew goes through something traumatic with Fletcher, he likely would have given up if not for his support base. His support base is the one that keeps him alive. His support base is the reason that he's able to get help and or like other jobs and positions. His support base is the reason that he walks back onto the stage in his last performance.
Yeah.
Not Fletcher. Fletcher honed skills, provided a like ideal to shoot for, but the resolve was still very much the person. The continuation of it was his support group. the idea that Fletcher has anything to do with the true potential of this human being, I disagree with.
I think I agree with most of what you said. I agree that all of those things are important. I also think that Fletcher's point about the two most harmful words in the English language being good job is underpinning to both his philosophy and also something that I have a hard time shaking. And I don't think good job are the two most harmful words in the English language. I would change it slightly to good enough. And so, like, I look at it from that perspective, and I think Neiman's question when they're sitting in the bar is, do you think sometimes you go too far?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point where I would say yes. Yeah. He goes too far. I don't think that he shouldn't be doing what he's doing at all. Because what he's doing at all is necessary to make some of these things happen. And there is something, I think, innately human about suffering leading to, for lack of a better word, forms of glory.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't think, like, even in this movie, that final scene would mean nothing if it was the first scene of the movie.
Yeah.
That final scene is, yes, he's supported by the people around him, and he doesn't go back out on stage if his dad's not there. He doesn't have anything to fall back on. He has no one. He's pushed people away because of this goal. His underlying resolve is a part of who he is. But everything he's been through is also a part of what got him to that point.
Absolutely.
Because, like, you see all of the training scenes that he does. He doesn't do those if Fletcher isn't the dick that he is. I really don't think we would see that from Neiman if he were to just say, you know what, you did a great job, good,
yeah,
good on you. You know,
that's a take that is interesting. It makes the assumption that
I like when you say interesting instead of wrong.
I think that yours is like the take that O'Connor has. Like, this is very much aligns with you as your character, and it's the reason we get along.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things that this is assuming is that this. So when we're looking at this type of prodigy and prowess, we're not looking at the person. We're looking at the fact that the prodigy and prowess existed at all. It could have been any person to fill that spot.
I disagree.
Okay, well, we're gonna get to that in a second.
Okay.
Any person could have filled that spot, in my assumption. We don't know that the people that got to that spot wouldn't have gotten to that spot without the factors that were in their history. We know that they did get there because of the factors in their history, but absent of those, we don't know if that would have happened. What you're doing is dehumanizing a human being for a larger just wonder, just object.
You're saying, when you say you're talking about Fletcher. Y'all?
Y'all.
Everyone is doing
this? Yes. That agrees with this ethic.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Fletcher, though, first. That's easier.
Yeah, because I think there's the difference, right? Like, I don't think that it was a good thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that he was right, and it kind of falls into the John Doe category in 7, right?
Okay.
When he starts talking and you go,
there's things about you.
I can't say that you're wrong, but I know what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
And I know
for a destination. This is just
okay. I love Stormlight as much. I love Stormlight as much as the next guy, maybe more. We gotta focus on the movie.
Like, that's very ends justifies the means.
Right, but that's the thing. Like, I don't think that the ends do justify the means in this case. But I think he's right in saying these means are the ways that you get to those ends. I think he is correct in drawing that line.
Do you think the ends are good then?
I think the ends are good, but the means to get there are untenable.
Do you think there's any other ways of getting to those ends?
No.
No?
No.
None. Whatsoever.
I think there is a very small possibility, but at that point you start going into horrors that are unknown to this movie. I think those are probably the safest means to that end.
What about just people that are born with the dedication to do it?
Those people, I've met them, they exist, and they reach a certain point and they go, I'm better than everyone around me, and they stop striving because they don't know where to look next.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. Unless, and I would say most of those people are also not just dedicated for the sake of being dedicated. There is something else that is going on, usually darker and worse. And that's why I say that this is probably the easiest and best path to it. That they are typically using this to run from. I don't want to get too deep into anything because these are real people that I'm thinking of, and I don't want to just be like, hey, here you go. Look at this trauma that a friend of mine told me about. But like, I find that a lot of times people, when they achieve greatness in certain areas, it's because they've received hurts or are avoiding hurts that they've received in the past.
Yeah. I think you can get the same effect without harm.
I do think so.
With pressure, but without harm, you can get the same thing. You can have someone that says, well done, you could have done better.
Yeah.
And have that be the force that gets you to that point at the end.
That's fair.
The trauma that is induced is not worth it.
Okay, and this is something that I feel like we got off on the wrong foot with, but I do agree with you.
Yeah, I know. You were devil's advocating from the beginning because I came out with a relatively strong opinion.
I wasn't even devil's advocating. I was tempering like I always do.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I am unfortunately centrist.
I like to swing.
That's fun.
It's very fun.
Please do not involve me.
I am a wrecking ball. Please.
I can't get past you saying that I like to swing, so I'm just...
I missed that one.
Oh. That's what I was saying. Don't involve me in.
Pendulum.
Yeah.
Good one.
I will say, this is one of those movies that I feel like the theme is more important than anything else.
I agree.
Like, we could talk about like performances and that kind of stuff. J.K. Simmons did a great job. Miles Teller did a pretty good job. Like, I don't think that he did as much as J.K. Simmons did in this.
No.
Going from, you want to talk about a pendulum.
Yeah, my goodness gracious, this man.
How quickly he can go from, oh, this is just a friendly dude that like
conversation.
Yeah. And they show it several times in the movie. Like, he's engaging well with kids.
Yes.
Like, all the way to, this is a monster who just traipses through people's emotions in order to get the performance he needs out of them. Yeah. So, like, that was incredible. Miles Teller, he did really well with what was given to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just kind of an awkward dude.
Such a cute awkward dude.
That really, really wants to do well at drums and is very determined.
Yes.
And is being put through a ringer. Mm-hmm. And like, he does all of those things very, very well.
Very, very well.
Everybody else, they were there.
Yeah, you were acting in this movie.
Yeah. At no point did I look at somebody and I'm like, you didn't show up today.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah.
Intense.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Goodness gracious. Again, if you are not, if you're good with emotional, like very, very deep emotional verbiage directed at people.
Yeah.
Then
I would say it's relatively shallow emotional abuse. It's very strong verbal abuse, but emotional abuse, it's pretty shallow. Like, he has like 3 lines where he talks about like, that's why your mom left you.
Yeah, or he does that with every person.
Yeah, but we also don't actually know enough about those people to know if he's just doing the same thing that he's doing.
If he's doing it to one, he's doing it to all.
Yeah, but
it's by your own admission, he wants to see every one of these be one of the greats.
Right. Well, not everyone, actually.
Yeah,
I'm going to walk that back.
Yeah, there's one guy at least we know for sure.
All he was a means to motivate the guy that he actually cared about. And then there's the guy that he kicks out of his band for not knowing that he was into.
Exactly. And the other one that actually wasn't into is fine.
Yeah. Which does such a great job of setting up his character.
Yeah, it does.
By the way, like this movie, I think part of it is just each and every one of these scenes is just phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Like, it's revealing something about his character, Miles's character, or both.
Absolutely. So good.
I love this movie.
It was a very well done movie. Again, technical 10 for sure.
Yeah.
There isn't really anything to complain about in this movie.
I will say, with any music movie, I have the same issue as a viewer, which is once I've seen it once, I start looking for what's called skinning.
What's skinning?
It's where they take an actor, and the actor typically knows how to play an instrument some, or they learn how to play some, and then they start like intercutting like
an actual person,
someone who's really good at whatever instrument they're supposed to be playing. And so like trying to figure out, okay, is he like, when does Miles Teller stop playing the drums, and when does another drummer come in when the camera like switches to Fletcher?
Exactly.
And like that kind of stuff. Like, all of that stuff is always really interesting to me.
Yeah.
But also it kind of ruins the experience a little bit.
You can watch it one time.
For all of you people that didn't know about skinning, you're welcome. I've ruined music movies for you.
There you go. You can watch it correctly one time.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. The first time I typically don't notice it.
You're really slow though watching movies. You have really good analysis afterwards, but like movies just carry you, you know?
Yeah, they do.
Like the movie says, "Hey, I'm signing you up for something." And you're like, no duplicity. I'm just watching the movie.
It's a really good sign that the movie is not good if I don't feel that.
Exactly. When there's people like me and your wife and my wife who'll be like, plot halfway through the movie.
No. What my wife does is she will sit there with me and she'll be like, I'm watching this. They've put a hook in 2 scenes ago. I don't believe that they're going to remember to pay that off. And so I'm going to start asking Connor about it. And I'm like, no, that hook's there for a reason. Leave it alone.
Take out the hook.
They will pay it off, I promise.
That's funny.
I've seen this movie before. I know they pay it off. Just watch the movie.
Exactly. That's beautiful.
Yeah. But yeah, I am pretty slow when it comes to actually sitting down and watching a movie and analyzing it while I'm sitting there.
You enjoy movies.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I enjoy everything, like stories in general. And then I think on them over and over again until I pick them into pieces.
So that's kind of afterwards.
Yeah. And that's why things that I can't pick apart, I don't enjoy as much.
Oh, that makes total sense.
So, like, I figured out that's why I never enjoyed Skyrim. I can't pick apart Skyrim.
No, there's nothing to pick apart there.
There's nothing to pick apart there.
There's literally nothing to pick apart there.
The main campaign is just you going on an adventure. And I'm like, that's not enough.
Very given to you. And, like...
It's very given to you. And again, you're just on an adventure. And I don't know what that means.
Exactly. Go on an adventure, Connor.
Trenton, how do we end this? I'm angry now.
What do we watch next week?
American History X. Very intense in another way.
Back into the intense. I had so long of Miyazaki. Just calm my heart.
Honestly, as much as I love Miyazaki, it kind of killed me.
I liked it.
Also, we're in October, so I'm watching horror movies now.
Yeah, you are. That's fantastic. So good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, yeah, how do we end this?
We already ended it, Trenton. I'm angry now.